there. I just want to welcome you to our 6th podcast episode titled Goal Digging. With goal digging, it's just what I've learned over the past few years concerning setting goals and keeping them and seeing results. I'm trying a new format with this podcast. I'm not going to do a video of my face, but I'm going to kind of do like a webinar style video to go along with it. And I hope you bear with me. If you want to, you can leave some feedback in the comments whether or not you like this format. I might do it more in the future if people enjoy it, or I might just save it for like whatever else in the future, but I figured I'd try something new. So here it goes. With goal digging, I just want to bring to mind a couple things that I've learned over the past few years when it comes to setting goals. And it's something that I've kind of learned, not necessarily by accident, but I just through observation, realized two things. One, goals keep you going, so you should set them, evaluate them, and reset them periodically. So I know a lot of people are really into New Year's resolutions and stuff like that. And, whenever you go into the gym and you kind of set your goals for the next 90 days to do something or to accomplish something at a certain point. I know that a lot of the time when people do this kind of thing, there's usually not a very high success rate, but I feel like if you don't have the accountability there, then it's a lot harder to accomplish some of the goals that you set. Also, I feel like if you're not realistic with your goals, then that is kind of a deterrent sometimes. And I just want to make a point to say that if you're going to keep going with your goal, you have to be able to reassess them, and you have to be able to reset them if you find that maybe your goal became too lofty for your own good. The second point I would like to make is journaling helps bolster your goals. If you want more information about journaling or just want to dive deeper into what that means or what that could look like, I would urge you or challenge you to please listen to podcast episode number 5, which is on journaling. It's a really good podcast. I had a period in my life where I didn't journal, and there were a lot of things that I missed out on. Now that I'm going back and rereading a lot of the journals that I do have, I realize how important it is to really document things that are happening in your life, and how important it is to be able to go back to then evaluate things and reset them. So let's get into the body of what I'm trying to say. And basically, I've come up with an acronym, which is YAS. And I know that sounds funny, but it is literally 5 letters, YASSS. Because I feel like when dealing with making goals or creating goals and setting them and then accomplishing them, you really need to keep motivated throughout that journey. And what better way to motivate yourself than the word yes, even though it's spelled yes. So let's start with the first letter in the acronym, which is Y. And it stands for you must be real. Being realistic is the best policy when setting a goal. And it is very important to try to keep fear out of it. When your goals are realistic and you don't let fear get in your way, then it is so much easier for you to make that ceiling that you set for yourself the new floor down the road. So that concept of setting your goal, evaluating your goal, and then resetting your goal periodically. So what we're actually aiming for is we want to make sure that we can set a goal and then at some point, hopefully, make that ceiling, that goal, the new floor. So you set the goal, you accomplish it, and then you move on and make a new goal that hopefully you will accomplish, and then you can move forward. And you can just continue to do that. And that's like the ideal way to set your goals. So that brings us to the second letter in the acronym, which is the letter A, and it stands for account for loss. Even though you're trying your best to stay realistic so that you can accomplish a goal and then move forward once you have accomplished it, you should always, always, always account for loss. You might not hit the mark sometimes, and that's actually reality, and that's actually life. So when you don't hit a goal and you find yourself kind of stuck on something, it's important to stay optimistic about it. And don't get discouraged. Just learn from your mistake and try to do better next time. I have a quote here by Benjamin E. Mays, who was an American Baptist minister and a civil rights leader, and it must be borne in mind that the tragedy of life doesn't lie in not reaching a goal. The tragedy lies in having no goals to reach. So sometimes when we set goals and we try to set realistic goals, we kind of overshoot, and that's okay. Because if you account for loss, so if you account for the fact that there are some things out of your control that could happen, like you could lose support from someone that you really needed in order to accomplish that thing, or you can lose momentum because something else in your life happens that takes over and needs to take precedence to what you're trying to do or what you're trying to accomplish. Or you can just lose motivation or complete interest in something, and then you just like let it go, or you decide, hey, I'm just going to shut it down. And that's okay. It's okay sometimes not to meet goals. You just have to reassess, and then you have to reset and do something else, and that's okay. Which brings us to the next letter in the acronym, which is S, and that is set your goals. If you don't set them because you're fearing like accounting for the loss, or you just let fear get in the way in general, then you'll just never really have like a direction to take. I have this quote here by Scott Reed, and it is, "This one step, setting a goal and sticking to it, changes everything." And I really, really believe that. I have tried to go about things without really writing down any goals or anything to like achieve by a certain date, and literally had no organization when it came to like something that I was trying to accomplish, and I never really accomplished that thing. But when I did make a note of everything, and like for example, my year 2018, I had set about 3 goals every quarter. So 3 goals every 3 months, and I would just literally, after the quarter was over, I would go back to that list and see what I had accomplished. And I believe that because I always had it at the forefront of my mind, even though it was like 3 months in between the times that I like looked at this list of goals, I accomplished every single thing that I listed because I set them and then I evaluated them periodically, and then I would reset them or readjust what I was doing in order to accomplish those things. So setting your goals is definitely important. I feel like it's really important to be able to visualize them, see them on paper, whatever you've got to do. Keep them posted up on the wall, put them on a cork board or dry erase board, anything that you have to do in order to be able to keep those things at the forefront of your mind. So setting them and putting them somewhere where you can see them so that you're kind of subconsciously keeping them in mind throughout the year is kind of the best policy, at least the best policy that I've found. So, the third letter, set your goals. Very important. The fourth letter, which is also S, is serve others. So, serving others is super important. It's super important to me because of other people serving and having that like servant heart towards me. I mean, I've gotten through some pretty rough times in my life, and honestly, I wouldn't have been able to accomplish some of the things that I have accomplished without the help of other people. So I always try to keep in mind that I can pay that thing forward by keeping a servant heart and just serving others being like something that I try to do as often as possible. Giving will help you like reach triumph. There's a saying that's like, we're better together. And I really, really believe it. There is a scripture in Galatians 5, and it's Galatians 5:13. And it reads, "For you were called to freedom, brothers. Only do not use your freedom as an opportunity for the flesh, but through love serve one another." And I really believe this serving one another mindset. I feel like the whole pay it forward thing is part of that. You know, when you get behind somebody at Starbucks and they paid for your coffee, and then you pay for the person behind you's coffee, and so on and so forth, you know. It just kind of helps elevate your mood and makes you feel better. You know, you always feel better after like serving somebody else. So yeah, I feel like serving others is very important in order for you to make connections, in order for you to build relationships, and in order for you to figure out how to get to those goals sooner and to accomplish them faster. Two heads are better than one. So if you can get somebody in on your goal and hopefully serve them and they can serve you, then everything will just kind of work out a lot better. Which brings us to our last and final letter in the acronym, which is S again. But it stands for slow and steady. And I know this seems kind of counterproductive, I guess. Like you don't want to I don't know. I guess people just don't like things slow nowadays. I mean, we've got advanced technology and everything is just like has to be so fast, and sometimes you just gotta slow down, which is that part, like the whole evaluating and like resetting. I feel like you have to give that thing time. To be an expert takes time. So you need to have patience with yourself in order to get to the finish line. Persistence and consistency and diligence will equal results for you. This isn't like 0 to 60 in 2 seconds. This is the long haul. You have to be okay with taking your time. You just want to make sure things are done right, and you want to make sure that you're not rushing through anything and that you're having patience with yourself, learning the things you need to learn and really working on the things that need that extra love and care, I feel like a lot of people try to make like the fast buck or, try to invent something or try to become the next viral whatever person, or people are just trying to become like millionaires like overnight. And honestly, yeah, that can happen, but in reality, that happens to like such a low percent of the population. Most of the stuff that you see, you only think that those people became a success overnight. But most of the stuff that you see, the stuff that's actually going to stand the test of time, those people worked hard for a long, long time, dealt with a lot of rejection, dealt with a lot of people like abandoning them, dealt with like a lot of support pulled from them. I mean, if you listen to like anybody who has been successful and stayed successful, they probably have a story of like slow and steady wins the race. You just want to make sure that you're not going to mess up along the way, and that you want to keep from everything not being built on like a solid foundation, only to come crumbling down in the end, even if you are successful in like reaching that thing. People will know how much care you've taken in creating whatever it is you're trying to create. So slow and steady wins the race. And that is pretty much my formula for setting goals and accomplishing them and resetting them. And I hope you take this and start to exercise like writing down some goals. What I usually end up doing is breaking down my goals in quarters. So like every 90 days, I'll have 3 separate goals in order to accomplish, so that if in the best case scenario, I have like 3 separate goals that I can work on for at least a month. I know that that's attainable and as realistic for me as humanly possible. And so if I don't accomplish like one of those goals within the month, then I try to add it on to the next quarter. But then hopefully, if it seems loftier than I thought, what I'll end up doing is I'll reassess that next semester set of goals and try to alleviate myself of doing something maybe altogether, or maybe I'll just kind of like take a step back on something, knowing that I have that other thing that I did not accomplish in my first quarter, and hopefully I can have it accomplished by the end of the second quarter. So everything kind of takes like a slide rule approach. And I've found that when I do this, then I can definitely accomplish goals much faster, and I can really like accomplish like all the goals that I need to in a year if I like set them right. So I hope this helps you. I hope that you do that exercise. And if you guys want to let me know like what you're doing or what you're getting into, that would be great. I think it would be great to kind of root each other on those things. Or if you need help with like certain goals, I'm definitely available to help you kind of assess whether or not your goal is realistic, or if you need help in like direction. As far as that is concerned, I am definitely cool with like listening to you and helping you out if you need it. So give me a little email at hello@creatorfollowing.com and let me know what you guys think, and let me know what you think of the format that I'm using for this podcast episode. And just let me know whatever you want to let me know. If you just want to kind of drop a line and say hi, that'd be awesome. But yeah, I hope you have a wonderful week, and I hope this helped you out. And we'll see you next time for the next episode of the Creator Following podcast, where we will be talking about creative block and how to deal with the obstacles that you face in that. So tune in next time. All right. See you guys then.